Welcome everyone. This is the Masterclass. My name is Patricknazareth, and I'm here to help dispel your doubts if you have any. I'm here to help dispel your doubts if you have any. Today, we shall be studying the poem Time and Time Again, written by A.K. Ramanujan. Something about the poet then. A.K. Ramanujan was born on 16th March 1929 and he died on the 13th of July 1993. He was an Indian poet. He was a scholar of Indian literature and linguistics. He was fluent in English, Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, and Sanskrit. He was the professor of linguistics at the University of Chicago. Or listen to the clock towers of any old, well-managed city, beating their gongs round the clock, each slightly off the other's time, deeper or lighter. The poet writes of a time when there used to be clock towers in many cities. And clock towers need to be managed properly by the city council or whoever is in charge of them. So over the years, many clock towers tend to get spoiled, tend not to get repaired. A good example of a well-kept clock tower is the Big Ben clock in London, England. So if you were to listen to the clock towers in any well-managed city, in other words, where the clock towers are working, you will hear them beat their gongs every half hour, on the hour, every hour round the clock. Each slightly differs from the other. Some gongs sound deeper tones, some gongs sound lighter tones, but they each sound at well-defined intervals. Maybe a little off, a second here, half a second there, but mainly in unison. All the clock towers in all the towns that have them sound off each hour. Beating out a different sequence each half hour out of the accidents of alloy, a maker's shaking hand in Switzerland, or the mutual distance. The previous stanza tells us about how each tower possesses a different voice. Why that different voice? The poet goes on to explain that the random characteristics of each clock tower is determined by different factors. For example, the metals put in the alloy were put in a different composition, sometimes less, sometimes more. Maybe the person, the craftsman who made them, was old, his hands were shaking. Or maybe it is simply the distances between the clock towers and the listeners. Whatever be the cause, no two clock towers sound alike because of the different variables that creep in. Commemorating a donor's whim, the perennial feuds and seasonal alliance of Hindu, Christian, and Muslim, cut off sometimes by a change of wind. Who puts these clock towers up? The poet suggests that different communities, whether Hindu, Muslim, or Christian, at different times contribute money, whether alone or together, and put up these clock towers. Sometimes they may have alliances, and sometimes they are cut off from each other, like the two communities stop talking or come together. A change of mind or a siren between the pieces of a backstreet quarrel. One day you look up and see one of them eyeless, silent, a zigzag sky showing. We have seen how communities can fight among themselves, and sometimes this interferes with the working of the clock tower. Natural factors like a stiff breeze blowing, man-made factors like people fighting in the streets, horns blaring, or sirens sounding, can drown out the chimes of the clock tower. Maybe one day you will wake up, or you are on a walk and you look up and see that not only has the clock stopped, but it has been broken, and through it you can see the sky. Through the knocked out clockwork, after a riot, a peacetime march act, a peace march time bomb, or a precise act of nature in a night of lightnings. What causes the clock tower to get knocked off? The poet suggests two things, man-made and natural. So suppose there are rioters who set fire to the clockwork. Suppose somebody has thrown a bomb at it. Or maybe lightning has hit the tower. Whatever be the cause, the clock tower is now silent. The themes that run through this poem then. The poet has written beautifully. He has given us a very good description of humans and human relationships, how each one of us are individual, just like the clock tower, how each one of us drift in and drift out of each other's lives for whatever reason. Sometimes we drown out each other's voices. Sometimes we add to each other's voices. If our voices rise as one, we become powerful. Governments listen to us, people listen to us, and they act for the greater good. Sometimes we cry in different directions, and when our voices go in different directions, no one listens to us, and we are forced to fend for ourselves. Also, we look at the power of time. Time always passes, time always marches on. And with time, everything changes. You have shifting alliances, you have communities growing together, growing apart. You have people coming together, coming apart. You have births, you have deaths. Everything changes with the march of time. That's it then, the end of the lesson. I hope I was able to be of help. If I was, remember to like, subscribe, and share. There might be other people who would need our help. Thank you for watching.